The baby as a dog was pure nightmare fuel, though. Like, everything that it was like a CGI'd baby doing dog things. And I was like, please let this scene be over. Hello, and welcome to Cinema Craptaculus, where we say a bad movie is just as hard to make as a good one, just a lot easier to make fun of. This is Stephanie, and with me are my uncrappy co-hosts,
Dave
and John. Hey, what happens when you cross Freaky Friday with Like Father, Like Son, and throw in Christmas just for shits and giggles? Oh, and don't forget an extra helping of McG directing. Well, you get the Netflix original, the simply titled Family Switch. Here's the rapid recap to catch you up.
Cinema Craptaculus Rapid Recap.
Now, Family Switch is the name of this movie, right? Because every time I went to write it, I was like, is that really the name? They just called it Family Switch?
Yeah, I kept calling it Family Swap.
Yes.
But that's not what it is.
Not the same thing.
Nope.
Family Switch is about the Walker family as they switch bodies. The mother switches with the daughter, the son switches with the dad, and the baby switches with the family dog. And it happens on the night before one of the most important days of everyone's life. The mom, Jennifer Garner, is supposed to give a big pitch to a big client with a promotion on the line. The daughter, Emma Myers, is supposed to play in the big soccer tournament with a scholarship on the line. The son, Brady Noon, is meeting with the big Yale to see if he can get into college a year or two before he graduates, and that's on the line. And the dad, Ed Helms, is going to play the, Christmas festival or something for a chance to be on America's Got Talent, I think. There was Howie Mandel in it. Mm-hmm. So the stage is set, the stakes are high, and did we mention it's Christmas? It's Family Switch.
The title didn't mention it's Christmas, so, it could be, they could just slot it anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, they seemed to plan that it was Christmas because everything, they tried to put all those Christmas scenes and decorations and every
Christmas songs? I swear to Christ, Netflix was like, yeah, we're going to do Family Switch. Oh, and it's directed by McG. We did say that. Yeah, we did. Okay. Hey, McG, we're going to do Family Switch. And McG was like, oh, that sounds great. I love to do my movie Family Switch. And Netflix was like, but we have to have it on in December. What are we going to do? And McG was like, I know. I'll just put Christmas music in it.
There were needle drops every 2 seconds.
And we have Rita Moreno, we'll talk about her character. She's in a van, make it a red van. Then it's kind of got a whiff of Santa's sleigh.
Right. You guys need to do something.
Well, I just want to say one thing off the top. I think that this film should have just been titled $4.2 million Suburban Home, the movie. Because falls right in that typical LA screenwriter who thinks that, America can relate to Larchmont and Toluca Lake.
Yeah,
because
so
huge.
It was a humongous house.
And it's I know there's some good jobs out there in the world, and Jennifer Garner apparently has one that can afford, because I guarantee you that her husband Ed Helms' teacher salary is not affording that place.
No, he teaches band in high school.
All these films
in LA.
That includes the Hallmark stuff. They're all $100,000 kitchens. You've heard me say that. God forbid they do a movie in a 1940s, those kitchens that don't have
bungalow.
Islands. Yeah, no, This film was very much let's relate to how clearly the other half does not live.
Yeah, let's relate to no one. I was really kind of blown away by the size of the teenage girl's bedroom. I was she came in there and I was like, what is this massive container? I don't know how this is the girl's room. What does the master suite look like? What does the primary bedroom look like? I don't.
It was the friend's loft apartment. It was 5 times the size of any realistic floor plan within New York City, even though this is Beverly Hills. I thought it was Beverly Hills.
I brought this up when we did that romantic comedy with Ashton Kutcher and was it Reese Witherspoon? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
And it's I think that people live in their little bubble literally think that this is kind of like a middle class Christmas stories type environment. Like everybody has these amazing homes. And and drive Land Rovers.
And it's not you can't make the houses look sane. It's not that's impossible. There are plenty of homes that are modest in LA that you could still have Jennifer Garner's job and only be able to afford. So
wait, let me ask
it's
you
they
this.
have that one salary that's huge, I guess.
Very much.
throughout the whole movie, what did you think Jennifer Garner did? Now, she's doing a big pitch to Molson, who's this guy, and up until like the last scene, I didn't know what she did. I had no idea what her job was.
Architectural landscaping.
Yes, their firm does stuff like the Grove and stuff like that, right? The place they were pitching was supposed to be kind of a mixed-use commercial retail.
I thought she did advertising, because all I caught was that they have a big pitch, and to me that meant advertising. And it wasn't until the very end of the movie when they were like, hey, you get the job. And she was like, oh, we're going to decorate your grounds, I guess. I don't know. That's when I realized it was architecture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of 3 jobs in these kinds of movies, right? You're either an architect.
Yeah.
It's the Brady Bunch syndrome.
Yes.
There's always a big pitch.
Yeah.
You know.
Always.
Yes. And a promotion on the line.
I just thought it was such a weird... I mean, you know what you're getting into. The movie tells you that it is family switch. So you know that somebody's switching, right? But it was such a huge, like, front loading of... Here's all the important things that are happening this week for each of us.
Yes.
It has to be this week. Well, nobody's got postponed. Nobody's like, well, it's Christmas, so we're not doing this.
Harvard is doing their interviews. The professional women's soccer league is doing their scouting. I don't know what Ed Helms, but he's in a group of teachers, like dads that do like a band. And
Dad Alive.
They're going to go to like The Voice for the, and,
which,
you know.
If you guys noticed, I know I'm very surprised you haven't mentioned this, you Gen Xers. And I'm the young Gen X. I'm what, Xennial or whatever. But I noticed it was Weezer. That band was Weezer, and Ed Helms, and an actress who I know who was slotted in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. That's kind of fun.
You didn't recognize Rivers? Rivers Cuomo?
I did not, but he looked so kind of unique that I was like, he's someone.
Oh, wow. You guys, hand over your Gen X badges right now. Hand them over.
I'm not a big Weezer fan.
You know, it's not like these guys are like in the public square all the time. I mean, he did look, like a middle-aged guy. I mean, like, what's with these hemorrhoids plaguing my chair? He's very much kind of playing an older, like Weezer was like early 90s, right? Mid-90s.
Yeah, like 94.
Yeah, so, no offense.
You guys, bad. All of you, both of you, bad.
Did
I
ever
go in the corner
ever
right
pretend
now.
myself to be a music expert? No, I'm the guy that spots, that's Richard Donner's cousin, and it puts him in all his movie. I'm that guy.
Oh, so you're 60. Okay, got it.
Well, no, I mean, I'll spot like, that's Henry from Mad Men, or that's, the Toad from Game of Thrones. I'm not going to spot some musician. No way.
Some musician? I guess you weren't watching MTV. You weren't watching MTV in the 90s because you were, what, like 48? And you didn't.
And speaking of going back in time, so was there a wink to Jennifer Garner's 13 going on 30? Because I swear, I mean, we'll get into the whole swapping, but they did acknowledge that, right? Kind of to the audience.
I mean, I thought the whole movie was that, but I don't know.
But look, I don't know how to phrase this. I hated this movie. I detested this movie.
Dave goes straight to Craptaculus
rating.
ratings.
So angry because at the very top of the movie, they start out with a dance number with Ed Helms and Jennifer Garner. They're both like dressed up as Christmassy things, and they're doing I forget, like Rock Around the Christmas Tree or something, and then it cuts to a wide shot of the family, like the young boy, the daughter, and the baby sitting on the couch being like, whatever. And it did nothing to set up their characters. The boy, who's supposed to be this super intelligent, like, he's going to graduate 2 years early and go to Harvard. I said Yale in the recap.
Think it is
Harvard.
Yale.
Is it Yale?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is. It's super pretentious school. And what is he doing? He's playing a video game on the Oculus, and Ed Helms says, hey, can you join us in reality? And the kid goes, I've been to reality. I've been to virtual world. I prefer the virtual world. And guess what we see for the rest of the movie? Not the Oculus. No, that's set aside. And then she's sitting on the phone, not really paying attention. And that doesn't set up anything with soccer. What I'm saying is This movie does not set anything up. Even the very first joke, which is Ed Helms, the dog pees on the Christmas tree. Ed Helms goes to pick it up. He's got this giant candy cane hat thing on. And it gets caught on the tree, but it is so incompetently shot that you don't know that it's caught on the tree. And then they were in editing, were like, this is not funny. So what do? They speed it up and add Hanna-Barbera sound effects. And that's what this movie is. That whole every comedy moment in this movie is represented by that very first moment where it's just like, I don't know how to do comedy, so I'm just going to throw shit at the screen and hope people laugh.
I just tried to think like first of all, I think there were 3 people who wrote the movie. 3 or 4 people.
No. No one wrote this movie. AI wrote this movie.
Yeah.
They said to AI, hey, we know we're not going to like take writers' jobs, but give us a crappy movie anyway, AI. And AI was like, sure, Netflix, here you go. And I made up 3 names, so it looks like people wrote it.
And AI is a great scapegoat, too. So if the reviews are bad, they're like, well, you know.
This is artificial intelligence.
Technology.
What
are
did
you
you
going to do?
I think McG qualifies as artificial intelligence. I'm sorry, I'm not a big McG fan either, apparently.
Clearly. I agree with you, Dave, that there was just something going on. Like there was this feeling of like being rushed. Like it felt like we didn't have a chance to really get to know the folks before the switch happened. We got like these very like kind of paper thin ideas of who they were. But it felt kind of like I wanted a little bit more. Like I was sitting there, even like, you know, I was like, oh, this is how they're introducing us to their dynamic. The kids are not interested, and the parents are very into Christmas and togetherness, but the kids don't want it. Typical teens. And then the relationship between Ed Helms and Jennifer Garner is like, you know, they're trying to communicate, but they can't. She's got like a CPAP machine on. He's got tinsel in his ear.
Oh my God, yes, that's right.
It's like, oh, okay, so this is what this scene is telling me, that they are not communicating.
Yes.
But it was so like
clunky.
Rote. Yeah, like it was very much like, okay, well, this is the step. This is the necessary step.
Yes. And that's how I felt about the whole movie. This is a necessary step, but they do it so half-heartedly. Because in the scene you're talking about, he's putting on noise-canceling headphones, and she's putting on the CPAP mask in her ear, whatever, you know, you stick them in your ears. Ear stoppers, is that what they're called? And she said half of something, and he went, what? And she's like, what? And he goes, what? And she goes, hey, what? And it's just like, just fucking stop what you're doing. Take off the noise-canceling headphones and say, what did you just say to me? Oh, that? We'll get it done. Don't worry about it. And then end of scene. And the other thing is, you know what they had to say wasn't important because they never clear it up.
No.
They just go, oh, let's go to bed. And
we need a scene where they don't communicate.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's what it said on the card on the wall.
Well, I kept wondering how they're going to do the switch. Like, is there going to be a potion, a curse, or, you know, just it's Christmas
How about
magic.
all of it?
And it was so, like, they have... Talk about, like, people... I guess if you've never visited L.A., then you would not know that, no, they don't do this big Christmas carnival on the grounds of Griffith Park. I've never seen it. Have you seen it? Or heard of it?
No, I haven't.
Which is fine.
No.
They're making it up, but it just, you know,
Yeah.
I mean... And it looked very safe. Like,
well, there's
trust
also
me.
a planetary alignment at this night.
Yeah.
So
they happen to
needed
be
to
there. And what is it? Rita Moreno plays Angelica, and she's like a fortune teller, and they blow her off and kind of, you know, laugh at her. And I was like, ooh, okay. There you go.
Well, the daughter seemed really intrigued by her.
Yes, she kind of winks.
But there was a connection that never got established.
What was her name? Emma? Was that the
Cece?
daughter's name? Yeah. Like, is
Yeah,
she's
Cece.
going to become a fortune teller as a fallback if her soccer career doesn't pan out.
I want to see that sequel.
Yeah. But yeah, they're there for the planetary alignment, like Dave's saying. Like that's the magical thing that's happening. And I was a little cautious about Rita Moreno being like, you know, a magical Latina. Like I was like, please don't do this. but I guess she wasn't directly responsible for it, but she also kind of was like instrumental.
Please don't do this.
I don't know. I have no idea.
By the end of the movie, I was like, oh no, she caused it all. Or it was hard to tell because the planetary alignment seemed to have some magic behind it because we, like, as they're looking through it or they're taking a picture.
By the telescope.
Flash, by the telescope, because that's where you do your family picture for Christmas. By the way, can I just say that looking at the calendar, they were like, oh, my big pitch, the soccer game, the Dad Alive, America's Got Talent performance, and whatever fourth thing, the Harvard
Yale
interview,
and
all on Christmas.
Well, he said that.
All on Christmas Eve. All on Christmas Eve. Because they have the night before, they go to the thing, they have a full day. No. The day before Christmas Eve, the 23rd, is Christmas Eve's Eve. Is when all these do you know what happens on Christmas Eve? Nothing. No one does shit.
Schools aren't open.
Eve.
Nobody is going to a massive soccer game tournament showcasing all of the talent.
No.
Businesses are kind of shut down.
Yeah, everybody's gone.
If you're in an architecture firm,
what
gone.
company is doing is taking a meeting on a massive project on Christmas Eve?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
everybody's there too. It looked like everyone was at the office.
Yes.
I'm like, people are not at the office today, and we are like a couple weeks away.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, do any of these people who wrote this ever like gone to school in their life? Have they ever worked a job outside of entertainment in their life? I mean, this really was one of the, to Dave's point, felt like people so wildly out of touch from the rituals of daily living.
Yeah.
It's just it was compromise upon compromise. It was so compromised that it became broken and not even anything I don't think anyone wanted to do. And here's the thing. Great cast. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Great cast. No, great cameos. Great, like
so many cameos.
So much good. And yet so bad. So bad.
It's like you had all the tools there. You had all the pieces. And yet it kind of was stitched together in a familiar pattern, but one that didn't quite get the novelty, or it didn't quite hit it. Like it just
had no heart.
Well, it didn't just not have heart. It also was playing it so safe, which they kind of done with rom-coms and family coms. But this one, like, there's a hint of the teenage son who's very intelligent being bullied, but they couldn't even really go all the way with the bully, and they cast some kid who looks 32. He's literally, he's got more facial hair than most men.
Okay. Can I just jump in here for a second? He is younger than the girl who played the daughter.
Oh, well.
He is 1 year younger.
Really?
That's hilarious.
And he played the bully in 8-Bit Christmas and was fantastic in it.
So he was misused in this? Like he was...
Maybe they didn't want to go full bully, and it was just partial bully. I don't know. And so he throws this big party later and invites everybody, and then when craziness happens, he just disappears. He gets
hit in the face, like in a weird, like
That's right.
Staging of that was so strange to me. So first of all, I wasn't completely on board with like a big hulking bruiser bully in the year 2023. Like I'm still of the school of like 21 Jump Street, the movie from like a decade ago, when they turned that on its head and said, okay, so the jock bully thing doesn't really happen in high school anymore. The cool kids are like the nerds, And so like I kind of didn't get on board with this kind of retro throwback thing anyway of the bully. But then when they have their showdown at the party, when the son the dad in the son's body goes to the party and is being cool, he sort of is like doing the Eminem thing. Sorry, I'm an ex-centennial. I'm going to talk about stuff from a million years ago. By like, anything you say to me, I've already said to myself. So I'm going to like make everybody laugh by joking, being self-deprecating, and like all the stuff that the bully could pick on him about, he's picking on for himself. So everybody gets on Wyatt's side. And then at some point the bully tries to like punch him, but then Wyatt like accidentally headbutts him. So there's like this weird scream sound effect. Did you hear that? Did you guys hear? And I was like, is that supposed to be the bully screaming, or is that someone in the audience or somebody in the crowd? And then the bully runs away. And I'm like, what is going on?
I think it was somebody in the crew, and they just left it in.
Somebody off camera.
Yeah, somebody at craft services spilled coffee all over the donuts, and they just... We got it. And Mick G's like, I'm like Clint Eastwood. I don't care. Let's print it. We're going to go in under budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like there's so many things.
They had
that
2
were
weeks
just,
to shoot this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. So can we talk a little bit about how the big thing for me was like, it just seemed like because it's a whole family of 6, like there's just too many things happening. You can't focus on just one relationship because it's duplicated. Like the mom and the daughter are having their thing and the father and the son are having their thing. So you can't really focus on each of them individually and what they're trying to accomplish in any deep way. And then you have like so many cutaways to the baby dog thing. And I was like, please, I understand that is a one trick. That is a one note joke. I don't need to keep going back to revisit and seeing what's happening with the baby and the dog because every time it's the same thing.
Yeah. The baby's doing weird dog things, and the guy babysitting them is babying the dog because he loves his dog. The guy who babysits the dog was the best set up character because when you first meet him, he's saving the family's dog's life. He has 3 perfectly behaved dogs, and he's talking about take care of your dog. And then when we see him, he's taking care of the dog. He's the only character that makes sense in this whole movie.
I think the actor's name is like Matthias Schweighofer.
Yeah, he's German.
I'm sure something German.
And he was funny. And that whole section or those little sections of baby dog swap is kind of its own movie. They could have just
baby dog swap.
The joke would have been
Googling that later.
Yeah, they could have set that up at the end where we're all back. Well, spoiler, we're all back to our regular bodies. And then they come back and they find the baby and the dog have switched. And then there's your gag and set up for the sequel. But yeah, you're right. These weird cutbacks to it just really messed with the pacing a lot.
Hey, Craptaculars, we'll be right back. And now, back to the show.
About the pacing, I will say this, and this is a compliment to them, or something I have good to say about the movie. It was 90 minutes.
Well, it did move, and
it did move.
Because of the stakes for each character, there was a kind of a ticking clock, which of course is Christmas, which is of course also the planets moving out of alignment and closing the window for them to switch back.
Too many deadlines. Let me just tell you
Too many
right now.
deadlines, yes.
That's confusing as hell. Because it was like, wait, is it the planetary alignment or is it Christmas? Like, I mean, it's Christmas seemed to take a back seat, honestly. Like, it was like, they thought it was the planetary alignment, but the audience supposed to realize that it's Christmas, right?
Yeah, and it was like Dorothy's shoes. They had the power to go home the whole time because Rita Moreno said, you just have to fix what's broken. And the family's like, well, the telescope broke, so that's what we have to fix. Like, no one went and went, maybe the problem is us.
We're the problem.
I think that it's really hard in comedy of this gimmick, this genre, this switched body, to really pull it off right. Because going back to Big and what was the one with Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore? Freaky
like
Friday
father,
started
like
it.
son.
But there's just the tendency for them to over-exaggerate how they would be. They don't even act, like the teenager didn't even act that obnoxious when they were teenagers, but now they're in the other bodies. They're doing all these affectations and
yes.
I get that maybe the actors were given like 5 minutes by McG to shadow the other actors, but it just seems like to really nail the essence of the other person, they don't put a lot of focus on that. And, there's been some performances I'm missing over the years. Like, was it the 17 again with the late Matthew Perry? I hate to say that. And Zac Efron. I don't know if Zac Efron sort of studied Matthew Perry's isms and vice versa. Or no, that was different because they didn't switch. Didn't he just become young?
Yeah, it's like 13 going on 30
right.
or Big. It's like instead of switching, they're experiencing life either younger or older.
Mm-hmm.
I would just love to see like somebody like Terry Zwigoff who did Bad Santa, because it would be probably a more crass movie. But literally, the teenager now in an adult body, there is a lot to explore. Some of it might be a little odd and creepy, but and vice versa. They never do that in these movies.
No, like it felt like, I think because this was such a 4-quadrant kind of Netflix jam where they just needed it to be like, let's just sit the whole family down, grandma, grandpa, the baby, whatever, and just entertain a family of 7 for 90 minutes. So we can't cross any lines or whatever. But I feel like they just sort of, I agree with you, John, that it felt like the teenagers' behaviors in the adult bodies didn't quite add up for who we saw. Like, it was kind of strange that the whole ice cream farting scene, like
Oh my God, that was the other scene that just angered me so much.
Which we saw a mile away. Everything was a mile away because they set up all the little sort of like pitfalls and traps that they're going to fall into.
Yeah, and it was just like, okay, first of all, I don't think that this teenager who's in high school would be so like acting like she's 5. Like that's something that nobody who's potty trained would do. In front of a room full of people.
You haven't seen me drunk.
Well, and honestly, like I think that fart humor has to be in the hands of certain people, and I just don't think it should be in the hands of McG.
Are you a fart gatekeeper?
Yeah, McG can blow things up, but he cannot blow things out.
He cannot do comedy. I'm sorry, he cannot do comedy.
It was just, I mean, and I know that's not like, because we enjoyed the babysitter, and we enjoyed the babysitter part too. So what's going on here? I think it's because it's a family
Wait, the
thing.
babysitter's McG?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But I think
I take some of my hate of
that
McG
was
back.
clearly R-rated though. That was clearly, it was violent, it was funny, it was, ribald. Like there were things that were going on in that can't happen here. Because it's a family
I think that's
movie.
true.
Well, Sean Levy's a busy man. He can't do everything.
Yeah, it's true.
I think you're right in that he wasn't doing what's entertaining to him. He was doing what he thought was entertaining to families.
Yeah, that's very true. Like the baby will drink out of the dog bowl. And it's like, okay. And then we'll switch and the dog's using the potty.
The baby drinking out of the dog bowl just disturbed me to no end. It was just something I did not want to see.
The baby as a dog was pure nightmare fuel, though. Like everything that it was like a CGI'd baby doing dog things, and I was like, please let this scene be over. Real talk, guys. I watched this movie on like 1.5 speed because I was like, I can't. Like I just
can't.
So that baby was like a blur. It was like Dash from The Incredibles.
Yes.
The baby looked like the Ally McBeal bad CGI 1988 internet baby.
Well, 1997.
Sorry.
1997.
Thank you. I appreciated the performances. It was good to see Ed Helms again. I feel like maybe I haven't followed him much, but it was good to kind of see him. Jennifer Garner, she doesn't always get a chance to do broad comedy. I agree with you. And the girl, she's on Wednesday. Yep. She was quite good, and she was able to kind of pull those gear shifts between kind of emotional stuff. I just felt like I would like to really have seen them really nail each other's characters so that we really saw the switch and we really could differentiate rather than just sort of these broad pantomime of situational comedy when they're around people or in meetings or, I would have liked to have actually sort of seen them inhabit those characters, and you're not going to get that on this kind of film. They're not going to have
they just
6 months
don't
of
have
research.
time. They don't have time, and it's done on the cheap, and it's we just got to get the story out because we want to get to the laughs, and the laughs are very broad, so it's not going to be satisfying for anyone looking for anything deeper. I mean, as we demonstrated.
Yes,
as we determined. But I think there was just so much going on in this movie that felt like they like I said, they rushed, and there were some little glimpses. There were some things that worked. Some gags were funny. The funniest part for me was really the outtakes at the end during the credits.
Yes.
I'm sorry, like the stuff they didn't use in the movie because that was more of the riffing that we're used to in modern comedy. People who are able to go up and improv and say stuff like there were some funny things that were cut out. That's all she wrote, I guess.
Well, Stephanie, you're in the writer's room a lot, and I'm curious what happens when you I don't know if you've been sort of told or like 4-quadrant, no argument, or if you're allowed a little bit of finessing to sort of like explore things that may not appeal to everybody but are going to be interesting to a story you want to tell, or maybe the character will do things that sort of fall off the beaten path. And I felt like they wouldn't dare do something sort of simple with these deadlines. It has to be, he's getting into Harvard because he's that smart.
Yes.
It's high stakes. And it's Yale. Please, guys, it's Yale.
Sorry,
not
I have
Harvard.
a block, I guess. Real sure, like she went to Harvard. No, and like the girls, she's going to be in the premier, women's
Yeah,
football
they were
league.
like playing like in the stadium or something. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, they were playing at SoFi Stadium. I was like, what school plays in SoFi? And not only that, on Christmas Eve, the stands are packed for a high school game.
It's just a lot's going on. This planetary alignment completely messed up reality.
I did spy, like the actual 20 people they actually had on set in a crowd scene, and everything is matted in. But I did like the setup where Jennifer Garner, who's, she's her daughter in her mom's body, having to watch her mom in her body ruin her soccer career flubbing up on the field. And then there's one shot where she just spits out, I think it's in the trailer, like a big mountain of mulled wine or whatever beer.
Yeah, her friend brought wine.
They had this actor who's, I've seen him before. He's kind of a glorified extra in that scene. And they just place him there, and I'm kind of like waiting, like, I've seen that guy. Is he going to say something? No, he's just there to just get sprayed with Jennifer Garner's spew.
There were so many spit takes in this movie. There were so many spit takes,
and I don't even know why.
I think Dave did spit takes with the fart scene because he's like, that's horrible.
Well, it's just so stupid because the mother, as the daughter, is trying to create notes for the daughter who's in Jennifer Garner's body, and she wanders over to the fridge, pulls out ice cream, and just starts like
eating it. Oh, but
why? By the shovelful. And she's like, oh, chocolate, yeah, oh, this is chocolate. And I was like, wait a minute, what is happening here?
Yeah, why is that happening? It wasn't even like, she was under duress. Like, she was like, I've got to eat something, but why? It was morning. Like, I don't understand.
Like, they were in the writer's room, and McGee was like, like, girls love chocolate ice cream. So, like, she pulls out a pint of ice cream and just starts shoving it in her face. That works, doesn't it? And then she goes in and she farts. She farts during the meeting. And on the bus afterwards.
This is a character, right. This is a character that we're supposed to believe is in high school. And she's acting like she's 7. And it's like, what is happening? Like, I didn't understand that setup at all. I was like, okay, yeah, she's lactose intolerant, but what?
I want to create an app on my phone of McG with Dave doing the voice, and I can just feed McG things to say, like, okay, McG, there's a note from the producers. They definitely want lactose intolerance in there for fart jokes. Go.
Okay, so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have her drink a whole bunch of milk, and then she'll fart. I'm McG. McG is so gonna hunt me down and kill me.
Probably.
I just know it.
Yeah.
Probably.
No, because McG does not fly.
Oh.
He can drive.
He could. It's a long drive. He could find you.
Find you.
Find you.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see a body switch movie where the parents become the kids, and the kids are like, "We got to get our bodies back," and the parents and the kids' bodies are like, "Fuck you, we're out, living forever."
They kind of did that, like with Ed Helms' character was like really happy to be young and be able to do like flips and stuff like that.
Run down the street. One thing I did like is they did play with a little bit of the creep aspect, because even though you're in a different body, you still kind of have
have your emotional
you have body language with the person you're with. You might accidentally pat someone's butt, or even though they're in a state of duress, there is sort of like a quick kiss, and they actually put the brother and sister as parents in a situation. It was far-fetched.
It was so random.
Oh my God.
Where they had the women come over for women's night.
They opened the door. I mean, like, it's like, do you have a key to this? How did you get in? Like, it's like a clutch of women just come flying through the front.
A clutch of women. Is that the official term for a group of women? A clutch?
Yeah, a murder crow is a clutch of women. I should know.
Yeah, okay.
Gaggle is very 90s.
But yeah, like they just are in their house, and I was like, what is going on? And I guess through all the noise and stuff, like somebody said like, oh, well, it's our women's night. And I'm like, on Christmas Eve? Like, what is going on?
That's another thing to add on the Christmas Eve pile.
I just didn't understand that.
If I went and did like a guy's night on Christmas Eve, I would come back to a very cold household. We're all going to go out and drink wine and watch porn and action movies. But I'll be back for Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I mean, and she agreed to host. too. I mean, like it's
Yes.
and didn't say anything, and just so weird.
On the day they have 4 important events all happening at the same time.
Yeah, this is a busy week, and that's where it leads into what you guys were talking about, like the awkward kiss that Ed Helms and Jennifer Garner have to do because these women are forcing them to kiss, and I was like, this scene feels very inauthentic. There's just something about this that I didn't buy. First of all, I didn't buy the women were in the house like that. And then second of all, that they were so determined to make them prove their love. I was like, don't you guys have families that you should be like welcoming into your home, or you know what is happening here? I've said that 5 times, but that's because I didn't know what was happening.
Well, it's like I said, they have these tropes and jokes, and they throw them in there and then write backwards. They have the punchline and then write the joke. And it seems like they're doing that at every turn with this. Like, oh, lactose intolerant.
Yes,
that'll be good. How do we get them to the fart? You know,
how do we get
awkward
them
that
there
if you have
is
to
the
kiss
whole
his
thing.
mom and dad. How do we get them to kiss his mom and dad? So I think that maybe, I hate to say it, about another pass on the script could have ironed out and made those moments built up to more awkwardness. Because awkwardness is great.
Like a 5th and 6th writer, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right, a 5th or 6th writer. And then McG getting replaced by Jay Roach.
Sure. They didn't have time for that. There was no time to do anything. And one of the things I noticed also is that they had at the end of during the outtakes, the clapboard said family leave. Like that was their working title or something. And I was like, so they didn't
notice that.
I mean, they knew that it was a Switch movie, but somebody said, just call it Family Switch.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, let's talk about why Christmas is brought into this. And it ends with a really odd, Christmas magical moment where it freaking snows in Los Angeles.
Like a
In
foot.
LA.
Like a foot.
Yeah, and like almost like these people want to have their ultimate Christmas movie with the ultimate house and the ultimate jobs and the ultimate interviews.
And it all happens at once, where people are literally knocking on the door, going, "Guess what? You're in the
Christmas
soccer."
morning. Christmas morning. The dude from the soccer championship league, whatever the hell that was, comes by and is like, "Hey, my flight got delayed because of the snow. So here it is, Christmas morning. I thought I'd come and give you the good news." And they're like, "Yay!" And then,
don't you want to be home for
Molson,
Christmas?
the client,
My family's dead.
Yeah, you shit the bed on the field, but we like that you went back and helped someone's busted knee, so you're on like an elite team.
yes.
Well, he did say he's seen her tapes, but yeah, Dave, you're so right. Like, shows up on Christmas Day and just invites himself into the backyard where it's snowing.
Yeah, he was in the front yard, but still, they have it's like a castle where there was like a wall and like a gate. Like you can't just walk in. Like that's why I don't understand. I don't get that. But yeah, like it was just so weird. Like that happened, and then Yale got back to them that day and said, "Sorry, you're not ready for Yale." And it's like, okay, thanks for sending me this email on Christmas.
Yes. One day after my interview.
The reason that was an okay resolution for the son was because now he can spend the next year losing his virginity to the girl that he likes.
Because she likes him too.
Not working on maturing for college, working on just maturing.
Yeah, but that was also not him. So it was kind of weird. Like, right? Like, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't even him who they interviewed.
It was the dad, and also the dad who seduced the girl.
Well, he didn't.
By the way,
he didn't.
He didn't, but I mean, he charmed her. When the boy was the boy, he avoided her and kept her at a distance. When the boy was at Helms, he was much more open and excited about being around other high schoolers, and she just was attracted to that.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to make it sound gross because it's not. It just was that she's in for a rude awakening the next day when he reverts back to his introverted self.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think they missed an opportunity too, because the resolution happens literally at the height of Christmas Eve, and then they cut to the next day where they wake up. We miss out on all of that, and you could have made a more interesting film if you actually explored the switching back and the fallout. But I just want to say on that interview, Ed Helms didn't even attempt to act like his son on the interview. Like, it would have been funnier if he's trying to answer these complex questions. They're throwing him like, because he's a physics, right, or a physics or a maths major. And so the interviewers, the reps from the admissions are kind of throwing him these kind of complex curveballs. And then he just kind of reverts to what Ed Helms knows, which is, well, Nirvana in the 90s. I'm like, he wouldn't do that. He would maybe try to sound like his son, and it would have been funnier if he's like, well, the Pythagoras, and him stumbling through trying to sound, and he would have had an inkling of his son's schoolwork a little bit.
Yeah, that was kind of
he is a teacher.
A forced thing. Yeah.
But it would have, so instead he's so 180 degrees away from his son that the teachers would have just stopped the interview right there and said, he's on drugs. What have you taken? Are you high?
Yeah, we'd call the nurse. Yeah, that's a good point. Is terrible. Like he didn't really attempt to do any, like, that's the thing. Like nobody attempted to do things the right way.
I think the daughter did a little bit at the meeting. I think at the meeting there was a little bit of that because she's coaching her right there, which is weird. Like she brings her daughter I'm bringing my daughter to work on Christmas Eve.
Maybe that was why.
To the biggest.
They were like, well, we're all here working on Christmas, so sure.
Everyone bring your children.
Yeah. Well, should we rate this?
Yeah, okay.
Cinema Craptaculus ratings.
So we have a 3-tiered rating system here. The top tier, Cinema Craptaculus, switch this on. You have to watch it. The middle tier is Craptaculus. No need to switch. If you have the time, it's worth a watch. And utter crap. Switch it off and sync your streaming devices into a lake just in case you may accidentally come across this vile wreck of a Christmas family comedy. I'll go first. Mm-hmm. So we have 3 tiers, and I just went through all of them, and I'm trying to see if there's one below utter crap. And I don't know if there is. This is utter crap. You will never convince me otherwise. Maybe. I will say one good thing about the movie. Again, great cast, and they really tried. Utter crap.
How about stepped in crap?
Yeah, this is the stepped in crap. Yeah, I was about to say the chud of crap.
I think it's like we have like switch this on. No need to switch it off. Switch your life. Like just change everything about what you're doing to get away. I don't know. I would give this. Unfortunately, I would switch this off. It's not really a movie for me. There were some good I count on my hand how many times I laughed. And most of the time it was during the outtakes. Because I'm a sucker for outtakes. Yes. I was too confused. There were too many, it was kind of tropey. I mean, the whole thing was a trope, but it was kind of rote and here's the false ending when they try to, get the special lens that they thought they needed for the telescope because they blamed the telescope for what happened to them. But nope, it wasn't that. And I'm like, well, why are they making such a big deal out of it? Like they had it broken and never mind.
Yes.
I just couldn't get on board with this. I watched it at 1.5 speed because that's how fast Netflix lets you go. I went the actual fastest that Netflix will allow to get through this. But I did think that there was some really promising acting. The acting was really good. And I will try to forever banish the image of the baby drinking out of the dog bowl from my memory.
Yes, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to come in the middle. Craptaculus, no need to switch it if you have the time.
What's it like to be wrong?
Yeah. Well, I think that there are people that go through these their menus on Amazon and Netflix or wherever, and they kind of want to just see something new. And I think that's where Netflix benefits because they can throw a couple of stars or interesting faces in the photo, and people will just click on what's new. And if you're going to do that, I think that kind of from an audience standpoint, I think they'll probably think this is better than it is as they're watching it, if that makes sense, because I think there's a little bit of convincing yourself because it is a Friday night or whatever, a Sunday night with your family.
Hey, Dolores, McG has a new comedy on. Let's watch this McG comedy. You know how I love me some McG.
He can blow stuff up, but he can't blow stuff out. I think we've gone through this. I swear we've had this conversation before because we watch a lot of Netflix, but there's just these films that are almost movies. And this definitely falls in that almost something that I would recommend.
Yes.
The whole time I was watching it, I was thinking of you, John, talking about the Almost movie. And I was like, this is the Almost movie.
I mean, I honestly think I enjoyed this better than the rom-com with Ashton Kutcher, My Place or whatever. I can't even remember the name.
Your Place or Mine?
And again, I think maybe because I am a parent, so I think whatever your sensibility that you come into and your perspective will make you like it or enjoy it more or less. But I do like the actors. I think they all did a good job. I think it moved along enough, but we pretty much, all of our evisceration is kind of par for the course on what I kind of expected. Now, in all fairness, I did watch the other film we thought we'd review, which was Genie on Peacock.
Okay, so I watched like the first half of that and liked it so much more than this movie. And not like so much more. It was Craptaculus, that Genie movie. Not in the good way. But this one, man.
Maybe this
angered me.
Yeah, maybe this movie is specifically for families when you have a bunch of people over and you just put it on and kids are entertained, you're there. Maybe it's an experience that we didn't have because we were watching it by ourselves. I was watching it on a phone. It just
1.5.
1.5
on the bus.
Yeah, so you're with the
speed.
family in your $4.2 million home with your $100,000 kitchen. And why, by the way, not only does everybody drive a really nice car in the film like this, but they can get around town very quickly. Like, they get from wherever they live to the Griffith Park Observatory. And yeah, there's a car chase with, doors
and
flying
they wreck
off.
the car unnecessarily.
But the notion that you can get around LA that quickly.
But it's Christmas Eve.
True.
So, but why was there a car backed up? Yeah.
The whole car thing is just, again, a perfect example of setting things up that have no point. Because here's a guy who was in a rock band.
Maroon 6,
which was a joke I laughed at.
Me too.
Because he was like, he used to be in Maroon 6 and he left. So now they're Maroon 5. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you see him in the car, and he seems to love the car, but he doesn't seem to be a car guy.
No.
And the car doesn't play any other aspect except for to be funny when it gets destroyed while they're racing around Los Angeles while the son, as the dad, is driving it.
McG.
We'll put them in a car that it's gonna be like a hot rod. It's gonna be like a Matchbox car, and he drives it around. And he opens the door, and the door knocks off, and it's comedy.
I just felt bad, like just the wanton destruction of a car that was pretty cool. Like, I'm just like, but what was the point of that? Why did we do that?
It wasn't like Ferris Bueller's best friend's dad's car, where it was like, holy God, if one scratch gets on this car, we are fucked.
Right.
No, it was just like, no, let's take the car.
I guess because it was supposed to show that he was growing up, that he letting go of childish things, the dad.
I'll just say that we did watch it as a family, and then later that night when it was just the spouse and I, we actually did watch a funny Christmas comedy, which was, 2016's Office Christmas Party?
Oh yeah.
Which also included
yes.
doors getting ripped off in a big car scene. So the doors were flying off in our viewing that night. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. God bless us.
Everyone.
Even McG.
Even McG.
I want the McG app so I can feed in dialogue and hear Dave's voice.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this Christmassy Cinema Craptaculus journey. As always, this is Stephanie, and these are my uncrafty co-hosts. Oh, I didn't say that right. Sorry. You guys are probably like, what is she doing?
Is there an earthquake?
Yes.
Yeah. It looks like, are you TikToking right now? What's happening?
I'm sorry, guys. Let me just start over. Ever present with me are
Dave
and John.
And remember, a bad movie is just as hard. A bad outro is just as hard to make as a good outro. A bad movie is just as hard to make as a good movie. They're just a lot easier to make fun of.
Narrator's voice. They've been doing this for over a decade.
Okay, what they're gonna say? They're gonna say something that they always say, so they don't need it on the script.
Charlie's Angels 4.
No.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa here.
Oh, I love listening to the Cinema Craptaculus Network while I'm passing out presents to all the good little boys and girls in the world. If you want to stay on my nice list, make sure you subscribe and write a review. Tell all your friends about the Island of Craptaculus podcasts. Anyway, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!